And here in the U.S., there's plenty of reaction this morning to the State of the Union, and including in Wisconsin. The president is set to visit the state today to sell some of the messages from his speech last night. NBC News correspondent Shaq Brewster joins us now from the city of Madison, where he spoke with University of Wisconsin students last night to get their take. Shaq, good morning. It's good to see you. So what's top of mind for these students when it comes to the State of the Union? What are they saying?
Well, it was really what you heard from President Biden in his speech last night. There was a big recognition of his talk about the economy, about manufacturing, and there was also a desire to hear more about that unifying message, even on some issues that they thought should be more unifying in that House chamber. Listen to some of the conversations I had with students last night.
I think it's a little bit disheartening to hear issues that you don't think of as partisan issues, and you see half of a room applauding and half of a room sitting down when you're talking about, you know, people that have almost not sacrificed their life, but risked their life to stop gun violence.
I think that generally, if we want to move somewhere together, we really need to figure out a way that both parties can agree to move forward together, rather than just having certain issues become a one-party issue.
And these are students, some of them admitting they're just paying attention to politics, some of them never having even voted before, being just 18 years old. So it was interesting to see. They wanted to see that bipartisanship. They wanted that sense of compromise, but we saw the contention there between the president and members of Congress during his State of the Union last night.
And Shaq, we know that President Biden has not officially made a decision about running for re-election next year, and NBC News polling last week showed us that voters are not exactly enthusiastic about a potential Biden-Trump rematch. Of course, nothing quite beats actually talking to people on the ground. So what are students telling you about 2024?
Yeah, let's remind viewers of what that poll said. It said about 67% of Americans have reservations or are not comfortable with the idea of President Biden running for re-election in 2024. When I was talking to students, members of his base, members that the Democratic Party are going to look at for turnout come 2024, you felt those similar reservations. Listen to that part.
I mean, I'll vote for the Democratic candidate no matter what, because it's better than the alternative. I don't necessarily think that he's the most winnable candidate. I also don't know if there's any other more winnable Democratic candidates. It's definitely going to be a really, really tough election for the Democrats.
I'm just worried he's not going to win, and I feel like if he runs, then I'm just worried that Ron DeSantis is going to be our president, and I would really prefer anyone but him.
The important context here is that these are liberal voters. These are self-described progressive voters in a very blue area of a purple state. These are people who didn't support President Biden in terms of the primary in 2020, but they turned out in record numbers, or at least extremely high numbers, not only 2020, but also in the midterm elections to re-elect the Democratic governor here. So their main message is not that they won't show up, but they want something different. They want something fresh. They want someone new.
Yeah, that's an important distinction, Shaq. And I wonder what else stood out to you as you spoke with those students and as they watched the speech.
You know, again, these are folks who are probably watching one of their first State of the Union speeches in full. So they really didn't like or didn't appreciate the fact that half the room would stand up for certain parts of the speech, the other half would sit down. That contention was something that really stuck out to them, and it was something that they regularly commented on. But you also heard a lot of the themes that President Biden mentioned. I mentioned the economy and manufacturing, but his support of abortion rights, his comments on the war in Ukraine, those are also things that they were paying attention to. It's something that you really saw connect with the students that were watching that speech last night. Again, some of them not even having cast a ballot in a presidential election yet.
Always fun to talk to some first-time voters or soon-to-be voters. Shaq, thanks for bringing us that.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.